Good day, good day. Welcome to Q&A number, is it 5? I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, yeah, so that was my wife trying to get in on my action there with a little cameo roll. Right, first one then from Songline Art. He's got a few questions today. Generally, how long does it take me to wear down my frets? That's question one. And the answer is years. I've only ever had one guitar refretted, which I got the local tech to do. A 1978 Fender Telecaster, which you can see in the earlier clips on my channel. And I played that ever since I was a kid. So that really needed refretted. But everything else, I mean, this guitar I probably played the most. And it looks like it's got years left. I can see little pits. But it's not bothering me at the moment, so I'm going to say the answer to that is years. As I look around the Telecaster, I play that a lot. Mind you, I play all my guitars a lot because I rotate them. So years is the answer. Have I done any guitar techery stuff? Same, another question from Songline. No, I'm very proud that I managed to one day change the pickups in my R9. And I'll never do it again, I don't think. I just find so much more peace in just saying, right Bob, from Guitar, just you do it, here's the money. I can raise pickup heights, I'm happy with fine tuning things. I can fine tune my intonation, I can fine tune my pickup heights to what I want. I can fine tune the action and obviously change my strings, but that's pretty much it. I have the knowledge to solder stuff, but I don't like it. No, it's not for me. Another one from Songline about frets. What sort of frets do I like? I have no particular preference. Tall is the answer. They don't have to be jumbo. My Oswald guitar that's being built as we speak, I think we've got agreed on vintage tall. So as long as they're tall enough off the board, I don't really have a preference. The Junior appears to have jumbos. The Telecaster there I think has jumbos. This is more vintage tall. So I have no preference whatsoever on the frets. I know famously big frets, big jumbos are easier to bend on. I have not found that in the slightest. As long as they're high enough off the board, I'm happy. Another question from someone, he notices I put the plectrum in the mouth a lot, and why don't I palm it like Chris Buck and people like that? Many people palm it, not just Chris Buck. You do what comes natural, and that comes really natural to Chris Buck, and that comes natural to me. I think that's why God gave us mouths, to hold plectrums. I don't really like putting plastic things in my mouth, can't be that good for you, but I tend to put it on the edge of my lips sometimes. But that's what comes natural to me. Now and again I find ways to palm it, but it does not come natural to use the palm. And I saw Jeff Beck blatantly on TV go and play some great things on a Les Paul. If it's good enough for Jeff, it's good enough for me. Hope and Freedom asks, oh yeah, I think he's a bit miffed at me. I took a bit of heat when it came to selling my Katana. As you know, I put up a video talking about the sale, and I was almost a bit kind of apologetic with the video. So I took a certain amount of heat for starting off this channel saying how much I love the Katana. Some videos say I'll never sell my Katana, and then suddenly I'm selling my Katana and I'm moving on to valves. So I could see why people were a bit miffed. So he says, in the past I've said I'd never sell my Katana. In the past I compared, when the Mark II Katanas came out, I compared my Mark I, or I didn't compare, I didn't have a chance to try a Mark II, but I restated how much I was happy with the Mark I and wouldn't be looking to buy a Mark II. And now he's a bit miffed that I can't believe I've now sold it and that I now use valves, especially when most people don't recommend valves, is what he's saying. And surely the Katana at low volume would be much better than a valve amp at low volume. So, yeah, sorry about that. You move on. You move on. You grow. You're on a journey. That sounded really Scottishy. You're on a journey. You're on a journey, lad. And so I'm on a journey. I'm quite old to be on a journey, but I still am. And I had valve amps in my gigging days, and then I was amazed at the convenience of the Katana. After I had a long hiatus from guitar, I came back and it was the Katana that I went with, and I loved it. But you move on. I got into more and more. I got a guitar collection. I started to build a guitar collection, and I wanted to let the guitars speak, and I find they speak clearer through a valve amp, or more, they have their own voice more through a valve amp, I find. And the last point though, I have to dispute that. Guitar amps, you take them, I mean, if I demonstrate with this, right, this is a Supro, not the best to demonstrate it with, but that's off standby. So here's my guitar number 9 on the volume pot, and so there's nothing coming out of the amp. There's something. Now that's as low as I could. There's 0. Right, so this or the Katana or any amp in the world will give you this much, this little volume if you want. The question is, does it sound any good? Well, probably not that great, but then, so let's see if it sounds good or not. If I put you very close to the microphone, you might quite like it. I don't know, even I don't know yet. Let's see. I'm using a pedal for drive, so in theory this should be fizzy. Sounds alright. Full up on the guitar now. I don't know, I guess we'll hear on the playback. So it's that part's nonsense. If my Marshall, my Vox and my Cornell will all overdrive through their facilities that they have, the Supro doesn't. That's why I'm currently running a pedal. I'm running my JTM SS overdrive. I don't think valve amps would lag behind a Katana in any way at low volume. I think you're thinking of Marshall Plexis, which are famously crap sounding unless they're driven. We've moved on. My Marshall Astoria is an incredible amp at low volume. They're all incredible. The only reason the Supro needs a pedal is because it's old school and doesn't have any facility to get drive. So there you go. Moving on. A generic drowner. I'm working from a pad here. You'll know. You're the one looking at the screen. Oh yeah, do you have an opinion on keeping track of the humidity of my guitars? Well, I guess that depends on where you live. No is the answer for me. I live in... Where do I live? I live in a temperate part of the world, in Edinburgh in Scotland. And so we'll have our winters where the central heating comes on in the morning and then at night. So the guitar's going from being really cold to being warmed up in a centrally heated room. That can't be good for them. And then in the summertime, we're not humid here in Scotland. In the summertime, it's still freezing, but the heating's not on. But no, I don't have to worry. If I do that now and again, and I think, do I ever get I think they call it fret sprout, when the wood shrinks but the metal doesn't. I've never noticed any problem, but I have to acknowledge other parts of the world have big problems. So I never have any problems with necks moving and truss rods needing adjusted because of the humidity. I've heard people have to do that. For me, no, not in the slightest. I don't do something silly like, I don't hang my guitar over the radiator. I've got 5 guitars on the wall here and they don't hang directly over the radiator. So maybe I'm just lucky. XL Biker 13. Tell us about your hiatus and what brought you back. I said on a video that I had a few years off, and then XL Bikers has picked up that it was 3, as you do when you say the word few. It was actually 10 years off. So here's what happened. In 2000 when was my son born? 2007, and I got back into it in 2017 with the start of this YouTube channel. So in 2007, my son was born. He's now 14, and I also, after maybe a year or two, I was wanting to change my job. I worked in an office, Standard Life in Edinburgh, for many years, 25 years in fact, and it was, in the end, it was driving me nuts, and I wanted something completely different. And so my mum texted me one day and said, what about driving instructor? And ping, I just thought I could do that. You know, I like people and I like training and I like driving, and you don't know it, but when you pass your test at 17 and then you spend your life driving, you get pretty good. So suddenly I thought, I've even got the skills for that. Long story short, I put a lot of effort into training myself up to be a driving instructor and changing careers. Then of course there's my son himself. I was a dad suddenly. So as a dad, my changing of career, and then I got quite into driving. See, that's what happens to the Supro now and again, it cracks. I got quite into driving and learning, going out on these driving courses that you can get, where you go out with ex-cops, retired cops, and they train you just as a civilian on how to improve your drive. I didn't have to do this for my job, but I got quite into it for a while. So there was all of that going on. But throughout the whole period, my Takamine, my acoustic guitar, Takamine, was on the wall in the living room. I rarely came upstairs and plugged in my guitar. I had a couple of Strat, Telly, and a Les Paul. Not this Les Paul, but I rarely plugged them in. It was just, the Takamine comes off the wall, and I remember playing. I used to do the same things over and over and get into the rut that many of you are in. I used to go. I don't know why I played that lick all the time, but I liked it. Fancy that. I used to play that all the time. And I used to figure out little things, but it was just to keep my fingers moving. What got me out of the... Oh, and then I just being married, I guess, and just go on wee holidays with our son, and it was great. But what got me back out of it? Joe Bonamassa. I'll give it to Joe Bonamassa. I don't know why, I just heard about this guy called Joe Bonamassa on Radio 2 singing a song with a woman called Beth Hart. And I thought, who is this Bonamassa guy? I hear a lot about him. And I heard on Radio 2 the Beth Hart, what's this song called? Beth Hart, Joe Bonamassa. Anyway, they sort of had a lot of playtime on Radio 2. And I listened to the guitar solo and thought, yeah, tasteful, nice tone. And then that was it. I heard another couple of things about Bonamassa, and then I typed into YouTube, Joe Bonamassa, and this Rock Palace thing came up. And that was it. I just thought, fucking hell. Guitar players have moved on and they've become, and of course I saw his mad pentatonic things, but his choice of notes was great as well. So Joe Bonamassa. Then of course the Katana came out all at a kind of similar time, and that got me out of it. I thought, I'll get a Katana, because I wanted just to get away from everything that I'd done before and just have some fun, and the Katana seemed like a fun option. Hope I haven't babbled too long on that answer. Next one, Matt Crisp. How do I get good valve tones at home level? Well, I did a video on that, so hopefully that has answered the question, but he's asked specifically, do I use an attenuator? No, I just don't use an old Marshall Plexi, so just all my valve amps give me great tone at home level. Of course I'm not driving the power amp, I'm just driving the preamp through the facilities of each amp, or using pedals in the case of the Supro. So no, I just enjoy what the amp gives me. I will probably buy an attenuator one day, but I really grudge it because I'm very happy. And if you're happy, why change it? But people are saying to me, Paul, you really owe it to yourself to try one. So when I'm feeling flush one day, I'll buy myself an attenuator, but I don't want to buy a crap one. And the one that people say is maybe the best is the Fryette, and that's 700-800 quid, and I don't know if I can be bothered spending that kind of money just now on an attenuator. Christopher Short, good question. He talks about the guitars he's got, and really is having 10 to 15,000 pound worth of guitars is just a piece of nonsense, when really all we need is your hands and a good guitar and a good amp and make music. And of course other people have picked up on that same thing, the channel 5 watt world, how many guitars do you really need? And so it really is quite a hotly debated thing. And of course there's the joke, the correct number of guitars to have is the ones that you've got plus one more. And that's kind of where I am. My dad has a big collection. I don't think I ever want to have a big collection, but let's face it, my collection is getting bigger. So I guess it's just a hobby, if you're passionate about it. I mean, I do not need any more. That and my in fact, my 5 guitars give me a huge range of tones, but I don't have a Epiphone Casino type guitar, a completely hollow. I'm not attracted to the Casino, but I would get the Gibson version, so I really want a Gibson ES 330. Do I need it? Absolutely not, but it would give me a little tone I don't have, and I love the look of a Gibson ES 330. I also love the look of a Gibson Les Paul Black Beauty, but not the brand new one. I want cream-aged binding. I want checking on the lacquer. Ideally, I would like the black staple pickup in the black P90 as opposed to the gold. And if it does have to have gold, it better be tarnished gold. And that I've already got that sound in this, so yes, it's a bunch of nonsense, but if you can afford it, and not that I really can afford my collection, but you do, you love it, so you just buy it. So yes, it's a piece of nonsense. You only need 1 or 2 great guitars. But what can I say? Songline art. Any news on the Oswald Strat yet? Oh yes, I'm having an Oswald Stratocaster built by Nick Oswald. No news yet, but I'm just leaving him alone. I hope he's in his workshop covered in sawdust, working away. Apparently a lot of what he does is he lets wood move and see and adjust to temperatures. He sprays paint and he has to let it dry, then he maybe does lots of different things, and a lot of it is just being patient and waiting. So I think it said 4 to 5 months. So no news yet. Another question from Songline. The best cheap guitars I've played, and he quotes sort of a really low, it's a $150 to $300, whatever type of cheap. So first of all, guitars at that level are, we all know, are now really pretty damn good. When I was young, they were all crap. No, they weren't all crap, but you know, fret ends sticking out in your hand and dodgy electrics. Now, of course, the standards are so high. I watched a thing from Casino Guitar's YouTube channel raising an interesting point. If Harley Benton and all these really affordable makers are producing these guitars that seem to be on the face of it quite good, what kind of conditions are the people working in? So I don't know if all of these people are, or manufacturers are completely ethical in the work conditions of the people that make the guitars. I have no idea. I guess it's a huge subject. But the best cheap guitars, I bought a Gretsch, which you'll see on my YouTube channel a bit further down. I bought a Gretsch G5220, so that was affordable, and that was great. It did have a slight when you know, maybe needed grounded, but that was great. My son's Epiphone is really good. There's videos on my channel with my son's Epiphone. I'm going to give it to the Epiphone because it was a nice sound. I really liked the sound of the Epiphone because it had humbuckers. So I'm going to say the Epiphone SG is probably the nicest one. The Gretsch was really nice too. Next question from Coco Fufu. I'll pronounce that right? I'm looking at my pad. You can see the name on the screen. Great question. What is the most important link in the chain? What did he say again? I'll come back to you. What, in your opinion, is the most important link in the chain of guitar, amp, pedal, microphone? I see you often just use your mobile phone for a microphone and don't dabble too much with pedals. So I would assume you would say the guitar or the amp are the most important factors. Right, so here's my answer to that. Easy, for me anyway. The guitar. Buy the guitar of your dreams if you can possibly afford it. Buy the best one, or buy something that's going to inspire you on a daily basis. And here's the real surprise. I actually think looks are more important than sound. Buy the guitar that you love the look of, and then if it's shite, make it sound good. Take it to the tech. Do whatever you need to do. But I mean, I keep holding this up. I just love this guitar. As it happens, this guitar sounds epic, but I think I've improved it with the changing pickups. But buy a guitar that you just love, the stuff of your dreams, if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, buy the Squire version or whatever. But if it's hanging on the wall and it looks amazing, that is the most important part of the signal chain. And then you can make it sound better. But even if you don't, you'll love the look of it so much that it will inspire you. Second, of course, is the amp, and this is where I become a bit more sensible. You want to buy an amp that genuinely does have a good sound. So now it's time to really close your eyes and get an amp that gives you sounds that inspire you. And then, of course, what was the rest of it? Pedals. As much as I love my pedal board, let's face it, it's all a bunch of blah. And microphone, well, that's the least of my concerns, which is why I just use an iPhone. But I cannot tell you how much my guitar choices inspire me. If I'd gone into a shop and tried a TV Yellow Junior, for example, that sounded a bit better or just felt more comfy, it would have disappointed me every day when I walk into this room. I'm probably exaggerating, but to me the Sunburst Junior, that's the one I say, oh, I want that. If I had gone in for a 335 and tried a beige one, you know, that blonde 335, and it just felt right, it wouldn't look right. I wouldn't play it. I don't like the blonde 335. I like the Sunburst or the cherry red. So us humans, and it's a sad fact, us humans are often driven by our eyes. We often hear with our eyes as well. So yeah, I've babbled enough on that. buy a great looking guitar, and you'll love it. And if you don't love it, make it sound better. Last question from, who is it? From Jake Barry. Could you do a lesson on your vibrato? I don't know if it's really worthy of a whole lesson, but let's do something now just for the hell of it. My reply to him was, first of all, you have to be a fan of vibrato. I mean, even in singers, I just love hearing a singer who can control the when, the how deep, and the speed of their vibrato. For example, Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, or her version of that, is a masterclass in vibrato. Eva Cassidy's Autumn Leaves is a masterclass in vibrato. And so I'm just a fan of vibrato. And so from a technical point of view, there should, in my case, there's a big gap between the neck and my hand because I'm putting all my efforts into lining up a few fingers on the one string. So when I bend, although the ring finger is the leader, it's got turn this up a little bit. So yeah, big gap between the neck there. Once I'm up there, and by the way, and there's no gap there, I'm strangling that neck there, but this big massive gap there. And I just love it. If you love it, so vibrato can be wide and kind of heavy rock, like that's a heavy rock vibrato I would describe that as, even though I'm not heavy rock. And then it can be non-existent and then brought in. And know the vibrato and know how to make it sound bad. Practice making it sound bad. And then never do it. I mean, what is that? That's a lot of calories burned for nothing. So try to work vertically. And change the pace of it. That's seasick, and yet it has a place, and that is more kind of, well, whatever. So that's my technique. Sometimes I'll do, like in that Knopfler thing at this, I might take my whole hand off. Look at that. That's very Eric Clapton, I think. I don't know why I do it. It just feels nice. But most of the time, I'm doing something like that, where I've got that technique there. Especially if I'm bending and want to vibrate a note that's already bent. Work up and down. It's a fretted instrument, not a fretless instrument, so working up and down. Anyway, I've babbled enough. That covers my questions for today. Keep them coming, and I shall see you on the next video. That's all for today. Have a nice day, folks. Bye for now.